My name's Clarissa Widjanarko and I graduated with a double major in psychology, Bachelor of Science with honours in psychology, and I graduated in 2020. And my area of research was in sleep science. So I applied for honours because I knew that a fourth year in honours was needed in order to become a registered psychologist here in Australia. So even though I didn't have a particularly strong desire to do research, I knew that it was the necessary next step that I needed in my career pathway journey. So when I was reflecting on psychology and just the different fields available, I know that I had a greater interest toward like the clinical side of things. And so what came under that was also the area of sleep, which is what my primary supervisor, Celia Richardson, specializes in. And so when I was looking through all the different supervisors that were available, I did my research and looked into each one. So I'm very thankful to have gotten Celia as my primary supervisor, and Romola and Flavi as well. But I think fate really played a part in the supervisors I got as well. Yeah. Ooh. Honestly, I think the biggest challenge was not to take feedback personally, because yes, honours was a very stressful year, and you get a lot of feedback left, right and centre, and I think I was really like overwhelmed by the stress of it all, and I'm a very high achiever, so I always want to do things right, and so I could spend like a lot of hours on like one particular section of like writing my thesis, and then I'd get feedback saying that everything needs to be changed. But I think, I really learned from that experience knowing that they're not critiquing me per se, but they just want me to improve in my work. That was probably the biggest challenge for me. I think the most important thing I learned in honours was that every seemingly small step matters. As I mentioned before, like I got very lost in the whole stress of it, that some days I would be so like demotivated to even write a good paragraph. So I remember days there were only times when, I would only be able to write like one good sentence, and I would be pretty discouraged in that. But I think looking back, I'm very grateful that I still chipped away at it bit by bit, because you can't have a solid like paragraph without a solid sentence. So it's about celebrating the small wins, I think. I think a big one for me was actually scheduling like regular catch-ups with friends and fun activities throughout the year. And I think that was really difficult because I know that, the demand to like achieve well and like, get a lot of stuff done was really, really high. But I realized that if I didn't rest properly and if I didn't recharge properly, then I wouldn't be able to produce good work. I think that's something I did. And also just making a good group of uni friends as well, where you can stress out together and then celebrate together as well after every mini deadline that you meet. Yeah. I think both yes and no, because with every unit, they had a pretty diverse range of assessments, from like presentation skills to writing skills, and just, critical analysis, as well. So I think that was good. It targeted like the different areas of someone's skill set and their ability. But at the same time, I think the weighting of each assessment, may not have been the most accurate reflection of a student's ability, purely because one assessment could be worth 60%, whereas another one would be 5%. And so if someone was strong in a particular area that was only weighed 5%, then I don't think that would have been an accurate reflection of their overall effort and ability. I think the biggest piece of advice I'd give is just to not get lost in the stress of it all, and also to not think that your ideas are too big or too out there or too crazy. I think new ideas are always good, and if you want to explore a particular area, don't be afraid to explore it, because your supervisors will support you in that area, and it'll be worth a shot, worth investigating those ideas that you have. So would I do it all again? No, I wouldn't, but not for the reason that you might think. I think the only reason why I say no is because when I look back, I'm actually really grateful and really happy with the way that my honours year panned out. So if I were to go back and redo it, I think the outcomes would change and the people that I met along the way would have changed as well. And so, yeah, no, I wouldn't do it all again, even though it was such a great experience. I think the main thing that I would do differently is I wouldn't hold back on asking a lot of questions. I think especially in the earlier stages, I kind of hesitated to ask my supervisor questions because I thought they were dumb questions. But afterward, I realized there's no such thing as dumb questions. And if you don't ask, you'll never get clarity. So yeah, that's probably the biggest thing that I'd do differently. Honestly, at this stage that I'm at right now, I don't think there's a particular ideal that I'm looking for, but there are options that I am more in favour of. So I wouldn't mind one day if I manage to end up being a clinical psychologist, having my own practice. I think that would be really cool. But I also think it would be interesting to be a school psychologist and work with young children because I really like children. So yeah, I think those two options would be something that I'd be really happy to do in the future.